Hello. Hi. Something went wrong with my initial video stream. Hopefully this is working now. As you can see, I'm not in my usual environment. I'm at my grandfather's house in Derbyshire, and it's like being in a museum. Lots of pictures, all sorts of things all over the wall. Anyway, it's good to be here. Hello, nice to see you. I hope you're well today. It's half term here, so we're spending a week. Well, we've got 2 weeks off school, the children have, so we're spending a week in Derbyshire and then we're spending a week in London. So, yeah, today I want to talk about the tendency to self-sacrifice, how so many of us are way more comfortable to put our own needs on the back burner, not even really consider our own needs and our own desire and our own pleasure, but that we're way more happy and content in service to others. And I think that this can be a beautiful thing, but that if we get out of balance with it, if we give, then we risk burning out, right? I mean, you probably know this. You may have experienced this for yourself or in somebody you know. So why is it that we are so good at looking after everybody's needs but our own, to the detriment of our own happiness and well-being? So what's going on there? If you're watching and this is resonating, do type a comment, whether you're in the watching on the replay or live. I'd love to hear about your experience of this. So are you somebody who puts everybody else's needs before your own? Do you prioritize your own pleasure? Why or why not? Is this something that you've learnt to do or cultivated? Certainly, so many women in particular, but not only women, men as well, learn to take care of everybody else's needs from a very young age. And this can actually be a trauma response. This could be when we feel unsafe as children. We make ourselves so small that we almost disappear. So that we're always, so say we have a very angry or aggressive parent or explosive parent perhaps, and we don't feel safe. What we can learn to do as children is just completely suppress any kind of needs, wants or desires, and just learn to kind of disappear, really, so that we don't cause a fuss, we don't make a scene, and we suppress any kind of anything really that would make us stand out or be noticed too much. So it's all about kind of blending in, being a good girl, being a good boy, not making a scene, to placate or a parent who perhaps was a little off balance or overly emotional, or just not in a good place and not able to parent from their center. Now, it's really important that we heal from, if we have got this kind of pattern, it's really important that we heal it. And it's really important because if we don't heal it, then we end up resenting others. We can, I mean, does this relate for you? Let's see. When you continually and compulsively deny your own needs and your own pleasure, when somebody else is not doing that and they're going after they're you know, they're saying no to things and they're doing what they want, and they're you know, what about this example? You're with your family and everybody's eating something that you don't really like, say pasta, and you don't eat pasta, for example. Would you make a scene and I don't know, order some gluten-free pasta, or you know, say no, I'll have a salad? Or would you just go along with it because you're used to just going along with things, just putting up with things, putting your own needs, wants and desires aside? And if you're used to doing that, how does it feel when you do that and then somebody else comes along who doesn't habitually do that and just orders a salad, for example? Or even though, you know, even though that might be something that's a little bit difficult to do, but they do it because they don't want to eat the pasta. Does this make sense? Are you with me? So how do you feel towards the person who's not denying their own needs and who's maybe making a bit of a making a scene, or I mean, this is what we would say to ourselves, right? Making a scene, or causing a fuss because they don't want, because they want something else, and they're stating what they want. And when you're not used to that, when you're used to just going with the flow all the time, then resentment can build up, and we can feel like, oh my goodness, that person is so selfish. They're always doing what they want. They're never thinking about others. Like maybe this is something that used to happen for me when I'd visit family, and a certain, like, some of my family were not would like to stay indoors and be all together indoors, whereas for me, as an adult, I always enjoyed going outside and going for a walk. But then I got into the habit of just, even though I might feel really cooped up, and I'd suppress my desire to get out and go for a walk, because that's just not what other people were doing in that moment. And then I had a friend who would come along with me, and she'd just get up and go for a walk. And I used to find this really triggering, actually. Triggering meaning like it would make me react. And I'd think, oh, she's so selfish, you know, she's going for a walk and she's not kind of being with everyone, and we're supposed to just be together. And yeah, I found it really challenging, and I thought that her behavior was selfish. And it's interesting because since I've done the work on worthiness, I have realized that it's okay for me to do the things that I want to do. It's okay for me to want something that's different to what other people around me have got or want, and to actually not only want something different, but actually say the thing I want and even go about getting the thing I want. So I'd love to hear from you if this is resonating, what you're making of this. You know, do you find yourself becoming resentful of people who always do what they want? I mean, look, this can also go the other way, can't it? Because we can get so obsessively attached to always doing what we want that that we become inflexible. And as always, what the best way of being is somewhere in the middle, like the Buddhists say, the middle way. So we don't want to get too rigid either way. We don't want to be somebody who completely denies our own wants and needs and just goes with the flow all the time. But we also don't want to be somebody who's so fixated on getting exactly precisely what we want that we can never go with the flow. So it's about finding that middle way and knowing where we are on that scale, where our tendencies lie, you know. And if you're somebody who's compulsively, if you feel resentment building, if you feel like, you know, annoyed by people always doing what they want and not thinking about the group or, you know, the whole family or whatever it is, then that's an interesting thing you might want to look at and say, well, why is it that I continually do that? And where does this need to suppress my own needs come from? And I would suggest looking back at your early life, look back at your childhood and ask yourself, you know, what were your parents like? Did you have to minimize yourself in order to make a parent happy or to avoid conflict? Often it's about avoiding conflict. So if you minimized yourself habitually every day because you had a parent who was likely to fly off the handle, you know, or you just knew that it wasn't safe or it felt pointless to express what you wanted, then you might want to look back at that. And you also might want to zoom out and get a bird's eye view on why, what was going on for the parent, first of all. So this is what we do in an RTT session. We zoom out, we get a broader perspective of what was going on, so that we can heal these childhood wounds. So yeah, I hope this is helpful. I'd be really interested to hear your experiences. So please comment below or drop me a line. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know where you stand on this scale. You know, are you someone who habitually denies your needs, or are you somebody who always goes for what you want? You know very clearly what you want and you go for it. Because either extreme on that scale can be unhelpful if we're very fixed in that pattern. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. And then when we establish the root cause, you know, where does this tendency come from? Then we heal that relationship. We look at the relationship with the parent, maybe who, if there's a pattern that's kind of developed between yourself as the child and the parent, maybe you were always trying to please, or maybe you had a depressed parent and you were always on your, you know, tiptoeing around them, always on your best behavior, completely minimizing yourself. So yeah, then healing needs to happen. So you can do that, the inner child healing. You can do that from you can actually get that in my workshop, which is available. So drop me a line if you'd like to experience that. Evolution over ego, it's called. So you heal the inner child, and you can also write letters to your parent, which you don't need to send, you can burn them, but just to explain what was happening, explain how their behavior influenced you and what that's meant for you throughout your life and how you've developed certain patterns as a result. And if you feel able to forgive them, then forgive them. See if you can forgive them. And you can also do something called a cord cutting exercise, a visualization, where you kind of visualize cords coming from yourself to that parent. It doesn't have to be a parent, whoever it is. And then you can imagine just taking a big pair of scissors and cutting the cords. And that's just the you know, the emotional, the charged, negatively charged connection, you know, that kind of unhelpful patterning. That's all that you're cutting there. Anything that's unhelpful, it doesn't mean that you're cutting any love or the good stuff. It's just, creating space, distance, freedom, which can actually does free us up to be more loving in that relationship and more present in that relationship. So I hope that this was helpful for you, and I wish you all the best in your healing journey. Let's heal ourselves so we can be ourselves, so that we can make an impact and change the world. I love you. Have a great day. Bye.